Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into the 2014 film, 71. And this is more than just a movie review.
Right.
We're really digging into how this film, this survival thriller, was seen by critics, how it managed to work on, a gut level, but also handle a really complex historical conflict, the Troubles, with surprising neutrality.
Yeah, it's a fine line to walk.
So we're using the reviews you provided to piece together the story, the style, and, well, the politics of setting a film right in the thick of it.
And to really get the stakes, you have to understand the setting. Belfast, 1971. The sources say the Troubles were at boiling point.
What does that actually mean, though, boiling point?
Well, it means intense sectarian division. Unionists versus nationalists had basically turned the city into a war zone. Every street could be hostile territory. And for an outsider, figuring out who was who, RUC, army, paramilitary, almost impossible. Just a maze of danger.
That sets a pretty grim stage, and right into this steps Gary Hook, Jack O'Connell's character. He's just a young British squatty, really, deployed with his regiment.
And it's not like a calm deployment.
No, not at all. It goes sideways almost immediately.
Exactly. The situation escalates super fast. His unit is there to assist the RUC, the Royal Ulster Constabulary.
Who were pretty controversial themselves, right?
Deeply. Seen by many locals as, well, not exactly neutral peacekeepers. So this assignment puts them right into a confrontation with a crowd, and the sources say they incur the wrath of the locals. Big time. It just explodes into a riot.
And this is where it pivots from military operation to pure survival. Let's break down that specific moment, because it's brutal. Hook and another soldier, they get left behind.
Just forgotten in the chaos. The withdrawal is so fast, so messy, they're just abandoned.
Abandoned to what the sources call a baying mob. That sounds terrifying.
It is. The film apparently doesn't waste any time setting up the threat. It's immediate. There's this one moment a woman tries to help them, described as a flicker of salvation.
Yeah.
But it fails. She can't stop what's coming.
And that failure, it leads straight to Hook being totally isolated. His mate is executed.
Right?
Right there, by the provisional IRA. And suddenly, Hook is stranded, lost, and crucially, he's got no weapon.
No weapon, no allies. The sources make that really clear. Army's gone, RUC's gone. He's just a target.
So looking at the bigger picture then, the film basically strips away all the support structures right at the start.
Pretty much. Within minutes, he's running on pure instinct. The whole point becomes survival. He can't fight back, he just has to run. Hunted by the IRA, trying to navigate this incredibly dangerous city, maybe even wary of his own side, to get back to safety.
It sounds less like a plot-driven story and more about generating pure tension. How do the critics describe the feel of it? Because they all seem to agree it's intense.
Oh, yeah. Not a comfortable film, is putting it mildly. Descriptions like grim, gritty, and hard-hitting come up again and again. The director, Yann Demange, apparently just cranks that tension dial right from the start and never lets up.
Right. But how do you sustain that? I mean, a whole film of just being chased, how does it avoid feeling repetitive or, just like a series of scares?
Well, the analysis points to a couple of things. First, the threat is always there. Even if Hook gets a moment's peace, hiding somewhere, the film makes sure you know the danger is just around the corner, never far away.
Through the way it's shot, the pacing.
Yeah, tight shots, keeps things moving fast. But the second thing is the script by Gregory Burke. It's apparently incredibly efficient.
Efficient. What does that mean in this context? No scene is wasted, the review said.
It means there's no fat. Every person Hook meets either helps him immediately or tries to kill him immediately. Almost transactional. No time for deep character dives or backstory.
Okay.
Every single moment, every shot, it's all just pushing his escape forward. The characters become like obstacles or quick aids in the environment. That relentless focus is what makes it so exhausting to watch, apparently.
So if the film is all forward momentum, who carries the emotional weight? It has to be O'Connell, right? The reviews were glowing about his performance. Sublime, subdued intensity.
Absolutely. And that phrase, constant terror in his eyes, that's key.
Yeah.
Because the film doesn't give him a break. Hook isn't afforded the luxury of relaxing. O'Connell has to show all that fear and exhaustion without big speeches. You feel the tension because you see it on his face. It's him and the direction working perfectly together.
Okay, so this brings us to maybe the most interesting or difficult part. A film this intense, this focused on one British soldier's ordeal.
How did it manage to get praised for being sensitive about the Troubles and not just seem like, well, taking the British side?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And apparently its success hinges on how it handled that. The sources repeatedly say it handled the conflict sensitively.
But how? Just focusing on one guy, isn't that inherently biased? It could be. But the film seems to have neutralized that by deliberately avoiding the big political questions. It steps back from the bloody and complicated history of who is right.
So it just ignores the politics. That might feel like a dodge to some people.
Not exactly ignore, more like reframe. The sources are pretty clear. It shows good guys and bad guys on both sides. No generalizations.
Okay, so it avoids making one side the villains and the other the heroes.
Exactly. It stresses that no side is demonized. You see IRA members with different motivations, some ideological, some just ruthless, some more complex, and it doesn't paint the British military or the RUC as saints either. It shows moral gray areas everywhere.
So by showing individuals on all sides caught up in this, it becomes less about the cause and more about the human cost.
Precisely. It shifts from political thriller to something more existential, maybe, about survival in a brutal environment.
That's a really interesting way to achieve impartiality. And that focus on the human cost, it highlights another theme the sources mentioned, youth.
Yes, this comes through strongly, apparently. Hook himself is young, but so are many of the IRA members chasing him and other combatants they run into. They're described as young boys.
Right.
And that seems to be the film's quiet political point. These kids, on all sides, are the ones paying the price. They're the casualties of this war, no matter what flag they're under.
Shifting the focus from who's right to who suffers most, that makes it universally tragic, I suppose. Much more accessible than a history lesson.
Definitely. You can connect with the sheer terror of trying to survive without needing a deep dive into Irish history beforehand. The conflict is the setting, survival is the story.
Okay, speaking of relief, though,
Yeah.
after all that tension, the sources mentioned a structural thing, a subplot that kind of frames the main chase.
Yeah, apparently there's this element that bookends the film. One review noted it felt a little disjointed at first, but ultimately made sense.
Why? What did it do?
It seems to provide a breather. After the relentless chase, this subplot offers a moment for reflection, some kind of structural release. It gives some relief after such a harrowing tale, letting the audience, and maybe Hook too, process things a bit.
Which sounds absolutely necessary after everything you've described.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's pull this together. 71 isn't aiming to be a historical account.
Not at all.
The critics saw it as this incredibly intense, gritty survival thriller. Set in 1971 Belfast, yes, but using that setting for tension, not for a political lecture.
Right. Anchored by a powerhouse performance from Jack O'Connell.
And crucially, achieving a kind of neutrality by focusing on individuals, showing complexity on all sides, and really hammering home the theme of youth caught in the crossfire.
Yeah, its success seems to lie in prioritizing that raw human terror over dissecting the political arguments. Making it about one unarmed kid trying to survive makes it relatable, regardless of your stance on the actual conflict.
Which leaves us with our final thought for you, the listener. If a film achieves impartiality by stripping away the political context, focusing just on survival, on the youth of the combatants, does that approach risk simplifying why the conflict happened in the first place? Does focusing purely on the terror mean we lose something important about the underlying issues? What stands out to you?
Something to think about.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive.